My name is Rainer von Milensky from BASF, the chemical company from Germany. I have a question to Hans. I think I congratulate Nestle to the Farmer Connect program. If this program was so successful, and I have no doubt in it, why isn't it copied multifold around the world by organizations outside of Nestle in countries? Why is it such a speech marks isolated program?
At the end and then at the end, okay.
Thank you. I'm Anirudh Krishna. I'm a professor at Duke University, and my question was for Rachel Slater. As you were speaking, Rachel, I was thinking, what is it that differentiates somebody at a high level of resilience from a low level of resilience? Is it that the high resilience person has more assets so that she can sell off one or two and not fall below a certain threshold level? Or is it that this person has a higher capacity to earn more assets? Or is it that this person lives with social protection programs so that the effects of shocks like unemployment or health shocks are mitigated? Or is it that this person lives in a macroeconomic situation where shocks themselves are mitigated? Or is it all of the above? And if it is all of the above, then are we looking at a Christmas tree with one or two ornaments or a whole series of them?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and the presenters. Well, my question actually goes to Mara regarding the weather monitoring. Well, I have two points. One thing is that you have said that the potential use of this weather monitoring is for micro-insurance. In that sense, I am understanding that you are to assume that this will be used for weather-based index insurance. But the problem of the failure for other crop insurance in the agricultural sector is that the hidden action of the farmers. Then here too, if the farmer is actually to monitor the rain gauge and so on, how can we guarantee or monitor that he actually cannot manipulate this rain gauge and so on? And the cost will be prohibiting, of course, to monitor the rain gauge every day for each plot, for each farmer. Therefore, how can that be possible? The second thing is that the cost of establishing, you said it is relatively very small. But I think it depends upon to whom you are telling. It is small, perhaps for a person in the US or in the Western European countries, but it might be a little even more than the per capita income, annual per capita income of a smallholder farmer in Zambia. Therefore, do you expect that these instruments will be there after 2 or 3 years of the termination of your project? Thank you.
Let's try to keep the questions short and succinct. I'll get 2 more and then we'll let the panel respond. The lady there and the gentleman in front.
Thank you very much. It was good to listen and to hear some very well organized projects and programs that are supporting people living in vulnerable situations. I was just wondering how much of these initiatives that you have shared have built on internal people's knowledge and lived experiences on how they have built their own resilience. And I hear Hans saying that we need to build capacity, train people. I think it's absolutely, you are right. But is it also not the case that many African communities knew how to actually protect natural resources? But it's how advanced knowledge and advanced education has almost shifted what that meant, and now we are looking back at what these communities did in the past. And I have very many experiences when I lived in my own village, what it used to be for us to have food secure throughout the world, but when we had very huge biotechnology on vegetables, what it is today. And my village now is going back to those traditional food. So we really need also to build on the knowledge, but also the use of language. I will really plead with this group in this conference. I think the consistent use of the word poor people, vulnerable people, we really need to think through the language because it's about the situation they live in. And if we change that, we will be able to to deal with the structural and the institutional arrangements that make the condition they live in. Thank you.
Please try to be short.
Thank you. My name is Mike Jones. I'm with the IUCN Resilience Task Force. But I'm also a smallholder farmer on a part-time basis. So my question comes from that perspective. As a smallholder farmer, my biggest threat, my biggest concern is variability in weather, the extreme weather conditions that we're experiencing as a consequence of climate change. And it's the plasticity of fodder crops and food crops and their ability to respond to these extreme conditions. So my question is basically to the private sector, agribusiness, what kinds of research are being done to increase the plasticity of the seeds and the crops that we depend on that underlie all our agricultural systems? Thank you.
I'll let the panelists respond now, maybe starting with Rachel, and then we'll come to Mara, and we'll finish.
Do you want me to go?
Rachel.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll respond to the question about, which of these things is it? Yes, of course, it's all of them. And then you asked, what does your Christmas tree look like then? I guess the point that I'm trying to make, in the analogy that I have, my tree is a social protection program. And what I'm saying is, do not heap too many objectives or expect too much of a social protection program. So don't load it up with a savings component and some other kind of microcredit, and with extension, and with training, and with public works, and creating community assets, and all of these things, unless you're really sure that you can deliver the program, the core of the program itself well. I do think there's another tree in this scenario, which you might call the resilience tree. And that's a system that operates, probably there are multiple systems. Some operate at global level, some operate at national level, some operate locally. And there, your tree is the set of policies, programs, systems, institutions, laws, and so on, that together enable you to build resilience. And within that, social protection might be one branch. Okay, but all the other things on your Christmas tree are contributing to a system, but you're not heaping everything onto social protection. Simon Maxwell said there were 140-something definitions of food security this morning. I think I can probably count 140-something objectives or expectations of what a social protection program can deliver, and I think we need to get away from that.
Mala, we have 1 minute to wrap up, so if you could be brief with your response.
Okay, I'll be as brief as possible. In terms of linking with microinsurance, if there is other crop insurance, that's great. Unfortunately, in the case of southern Zambia, the only crops that are insured at this point are cotton and tobacco. So farmers' maize crops are not insured. There's no access to microinsurance. There's no system in place. What this does is it kind of empowers farmers to know what their current weather situation is, and perhaps even advocate for other types of insurance, like microinsurance, that they could take advantage of. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work in their case. Maybe in their cases, aid is more important, and this will give government systems advance notice about aid. Now, we're not going to be expecting every single farmer to access this type of weather station, and we're linking them to the Zambia Meteorological Society also to ensure that the information that they provide is checked by the society. So it's not just the farmer doing it. The farmer is taking the incentive to understand that data, to know that data. The ZMS comes in, validates it, and ensures that it's correct. In fact, they actually correct the farmers, and the farmers appreciate that because they're learning something at the same time. So that linkage is absolutely always there, and it's not just for the farmers to finance it, and it is part of a longer-term initiative to try to build awareness amongst farmers in these areas, so that there are not two nodes in Zambia for Southern Province for this weather information. There are multiple nodes that are checked and that are linked into a broader system.
Thank you, Mala. Can we have Hans?
Yes, thank you. So I started here with the third question. I know that a lot of input suppliers are doing a great work to really provide for smallholders a lot of technologies that are affordable and available more and more. So there is great hope. And we need smallholders to be with us for many, many years to come. And the second answer to the question from the lady over there, you're absolutely right. You know, I learned myself the hard way when I was a farmer in Brazil, when we tried to copy-paste European and North American soil conservation methods. It was a big failure. We had to learn hard to really go back, you know, to zero tillage and to low tillage in order to protect the soils and not having big erosions. And that is the reason why I'm particularly myself and in our teams, we are very sensitive to listen carefully to the local communities. I couldn't agree more than, you know, it's not copy-pasting new technologies, changing production systems, and then walking away. Nature is giving us the response too, you know, if we're doing things wrong. And the last response to the gentleman in the back, we are not the only ones. Yes, we may be bold and big and we have done a lot of things, but a lot of food and feed and also a lot of traders are engaging now more and more with this kind of approaches, with working together with their suppliers. And we are sharing a lot of those informations through a platform we have created that is called Sustainable Agriculture Initiative Platform. That is the food industry's response to sustainable agriculture and production systems that are more resilient, where we have now about 55 companies on board. So the food industry is really taking stake in this overall responsibility, and we are sharing, and it's an open platform, a lot of this good agriculture practices with everybody. And I think, yes, we have done a lot of things, and it's like in a big race, you know, it's always those who are in the front who get the medals. That's like at the Olympics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Help me in thanking the panelists for the great presentations that have been made.